First of all, Derrick Buttress.
Thank you very much. I'll start with 3 poems from Destinations, which was published by Shoestring. The first 2 are based on an account by Alexander von Humboldt of his exploration of South America between 1799 and 1804. Humboldt was the man who inspired Charles Darwin, and the first poem is called Earthquake Watch on the Savannah. It's simply a list of things that Humboldt discovered were believed to forecast the event of an earthquake. Regard your pigs with care. Those earth roosters sense through their ploughing snouts the first violent tremors and run crying, Misericordia, Terremoto, Terremoto, because they were Spanish pigs. Seconds before the first tremor, your dogs will freeze like pointers, ears perpendicular in full listening mode. A low whine may accompany this paralysis before they suddenly bolt for the door. Your cows will lift their heads as if perplexed by the grass's sudden sulphurous taste. The sky will grow dark with bees and birds and a great scuffling in the woods heard. If you have gnats, you may find them high jumping the roof of your shack. Together with your neighbours, dig several deep wells to dispel the shock that rises through the folds and fissures of our capricious planet. This has been known to work in Peru. When all your barometers fall by more than 5 centimetres, it is already too late. Run for open ground. Don't stop to lock your doors. You never know. Humboldt also studied the indigenous Indians and their Stone Age culture. One particular tribe, the Chamar, he was interested in. He was convinced that they had no concept of numbers, and none of them knew how old they were or had any idea of the relativity of numbers. This is called the Chamar Indians. Their language has no numbers. How many stars are in the sky? The sky is stars. The stars are sky. How many times has it rained today? It rained, it rained, it rained. They know that a child newborn is another mouth to feed, that day dies into night, over and over and over. There are fathers and sons, mothers and daughters. There was a time before, there is a time after. When it happens, it happened. What time is it? Now. What time was it? Then. When were you born? Then. When will you die? Then. And the third poem out of that particular collection is called The Travellers, and it's a borrowed poem. I borrowed it from T.S. Eliot. I've always admired his poem, Journey of the Magi, which he borrowed from a 17th century Bishop of London. I think his name was Bishop Andrews. And it formed the basis of his poem. I like poems with a narrative, which this poem particularly has. I also like Eliot's assertion that it's quite legitimate to borrow from other writers. In fact, it's quite legitimate to steal from them. And I think he must have learned that from Ezra Pound. If it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me. The Travellers. Winter was a bad time to be travelling north. The wind cut us to the bone, the long nights of darkness brought us down, filling us with fear. Frozen limbs turned us into limping wrecks. Our mules stumbled in deep snow, kicking out when they were whipped. The muleteers finally gave up on them, swearing at us before they ran away to look for booze and a good time in town. One night our campfire fizzled out and we nearly froze to death because there was no welcome anywhere in this godforsaken land. Every time we travelled through, people threw stones and cursed. Wherever we rested, vultures conned us for a few miserable coins. We felt the lowest creatures on earth. In the end, we travelled only at night, not even sure of what we'd found when we arrived at the appointed time, in the place ordained. We were exhausted after our ordeal, but what we saw there gave us hope, prepared us for the long journey home with lighter hearts, led us to believe that we had nothing to fear, that we wouldn't travel back alone. Now, I don't write many lyrics. I'm not a lyrics-heavy person. I'm a sort of bread and butter poet, really. I've got 4 lyrics here that I've never read. Can't remember reading them out before. I'll read them all through without saying anything about them. I think they explain themselves. Rain. A critic complained that I wrote too many times about rain. I don't know why. And then, I'm also a rainy sort of person, I suppose. Depressive. This rain is like nothing else. It is rain, merely. It drifts in on a northeast wind with its gifts of ice and desolation. It is rain and nothing else. When you say that words are small birds inside your head, I think you're crazy. There are no birds in your head. What you feel is the fluttering of words. The word for rain, which is rain. Be patient now. The rain will wash the words from your mouth, the wings of birds from your head. Eponymy, naming things. On mornings like this, something in the mind won't wake. The assurance of the thrush in song sounds like happiness, or its approximate. The unleashed dog in the park rolls in the dew-drenched grass as if it knows something we don't, we who know everything. The hawthorn thrusts into light as if it would outgrow the air, but that too will sigh at last and settle into the picture, just so, to become what you define once more, an answer to its name. Hawthorn, morning, dog, thrush. And another bird, my favourite bird, the sparrow. The sparrow's sudden flight from the roof's clean angle to the shivering stem of lilac is the enigma and the life itself, the cast stone and the widening ripple on the surface of the pool. The bird observes the sunlight on spring leaf as it flutters from stem to stem, its metronomic heart beating to the rhythm of a primal song. Finally, going. This is for all septuagenarians in the room. John. Going. Perhaps it will be like this. You walk alone through unfamiliar country, a wooded park perhaps, or an enormous garden dizzy with perfection. You remember nothing, but wonder if your ghost will haunt you here, follow you like children fretting on a tiresome journey. You might become the point on the horizon towards which nobody glances, where nobody feels at home. Or you might be a stranger on the street, hearing laughter suddenly from behind a door, the sound of party, jazz, girls, voices you think you know. You ring the bell. Now, some more recent poems. I was listening to Radio 4, I think I'm the only one, quite recently. One of those programmes where people phone in and ask ridiculous questions of scientists who give them answers. And someone asked if broadcasts on Earth, right from the early days of broadcasting, are still out there in outer space. And the guy says yes, which delighted me. That's wonderful. All those radio broadcasts floating out there in the Milky Way. All the Goon shows and every episode of The Archers out there being listened to by aliens. And it brought to mind a comedian I once saw given a broadcast called Sandy Powell, a Lancashire comedian, one of the daft Lancashire comedians that I used to enjoy very much. And he did a broadcast and he had a catchphrase. I don't think there's anybody in the room old enough to remember this guy, but his catchphrase was, "Can you hear me, mother? Can you hear me, mother?" And I brought on this poem, Radio Waves. It's a Friday night at the dog end of 1947, in the dirtiest weather anyone remembers. The comedian in a baggy white suit skips to the mic on the stage of the Flea Pit Theatre. He blinks through the bottle glass specks reflecting the glare of footlights, reels in the noisy tanked-up audience with cunningly innocent innuendos, delivered in the cold northern voice of the gormless loon. He shouts out the catchphrase they all love to hear. "Can you hear me, mother? Can you hear me?" And his banter travels through the laughter as a radio wave for the BBC. flies out of the frayed and dusty theatre to rise over the rain-slick roofs of the city, penetrates the leaden clouds of November, heads for the planets and the stars, gets lost in the dazzle of the Milky Way, until the daft voice grows fainter. Can you hear me, mother? Travelling for years through clouds of stardust, until time, distance, and the eternal silence of a black hole consumes its echo. Can you hear me, mother? Can you hear? Can you?
That's great.
I worked in engineering for quite a lot of years. One morning we arrived at the factory and there was a notice above the clocking in machine which says, anyone not clocking in will be deemed absent. I pondered on this all day. It seemed to be quite a metaphysical problem, this. Was it possible to be there and not there?
Yes.
If I didn't clock in, was I both there and not there? So this short poem attempts to explore the metaphysical ramifications of not clocking in, of being there and of not being there. Absent. Someone has stolen your job. Tonight he makes love to your wife. The pain you feel does not exist. The fragments of someone's unremarkable history litters your memory's vacant room, in a house you would not have chosen. 3 disdainful children remind you of your mother and your father. A look of recognition in their eyes you cannot fathom or return. They demand the right to your love, the claims of blood, the keys to your car. In a stranger's voice you order them to leave the premises, to go in search of their father, the man of smoke, the absent one. And this is a poem about a recent thing that happened to me in the Central Library in town, which is likely to be turned into a supermarket, by the way, by the county council, the city council. This rather stressed out woman was searching the aisles frantically, looking for a novel. She couldn't remember the title of the novel, she couldn't remember the author. And she got one of the librarians said, help her to look for it. She knew what it was about, vaguely, but nothing else about it. And I sat there because it was raining, I was waiting for a bus, so I came in the library just to show her. And I heard this, I'd written the poem in the first person, although it didn't happen to me, honestly. Looking for Charlie. I wander through the aisles of fiction, searching for an author and her novel, the title of which has slipped my memory, like a fish out of a net. I remember its heroine was beautiful, but not her name, although Charlie's has stuck. The husband was rotten, a drunk, and a womanizer, the usual sort of swine. But his name, too, has swum out of sight. I remember the scenes of anger, the tears, the obscenic drama of the wife finally slamming the door on her past, taking Charlie with her. I want to read the novel again. There was something special about Charlie, something inspirational, his loyalty conveying an affirmation that love has many ways of revealing itself. I've read all the blurbs in all the books, in all the aisles, but none mention a dog. As so few novels feature Springer Spaniels. Please get in touch if you know of such a story, but only if the dog's name is Charlie. Now, John dedicated a very nice poem to me in his last collection of poetry, and it was based on something really daft that I told him. But he made a beautiful poem out of it, and as to reciprocate, I'd like to dedicate this poem to John. Out of respect for John, it rhymes, which is something I don't usually do, and it's about jazz, and it also includes a chorus of scat, which only jazz fans, the trio probably, will understand. It's called A Hymn for Bebop. Blessed are the cats who scat, for they shall make the square world swing. Gifted are those who tease the reed, for they shall cause the earth to sing. Oop-bop shabam. Trust in the boppers with lips of brass, who from midnight and to dawn shall triple tongue the notes that burn with the hot breath of the horn. Be a ooh ya coo. Thank you, God, for grooving high, for the crazy trumpet and dizzy cabaret. In Club Paradiso we will hear the alto of the bird and the changes he plays on quarters night and day. Oop bop shabam, you all you coo. And finally, this is a rant against the phone. I don't like making phone calls or even receiving phone calls really, and the mobile drives me balmy, especially when you're on a bus. I'm on the bus. I'm just getting off the bus. Yeah. And the classic one I heard was, who's that barking? Is it the dog? It's true. It's simply true. This one's called Call Me. Call me bananas, a raving loon. Call me a taxi from the rank, and never call me in the afternoon. Call me Ishmael or Moby Dick. Call me a bum, which is zilch in the bank. But don't ever call when I'm feeling sick. Call me a skunk, a worm-eaten sheep. Call me a nurse when I'm at death's door. But do not call when I'm fast asleep. Call me a fool. Call me a clown. Call me a wart, a tired old bore. But do not call when you're back in town. Call me an ape, a chimpanzee. Call me the missing link at play. But do not call now that I'm free. I love you still, though you've gone away. So call me Friday, 25 years from today. Thank you very much.
That's great. Thanks very much to Derrick for that terrific reading. And the music will start again in 5 minutes' time, but that gives time for people to help themselves to some food if they'd like, and recharge glasses. And then the band will play, or the trio will play for about 20 minutes, and then we'll have some more readings. Okay, thanks very much.